Allgäu is one of Germany's most beautiful alpine regions, and I'm going to be going down there for 2 full days to give it a proper explore. Now, of course, this is going to be day 1, but like and subscribe if you want to stick around for day 2. And our major tentpole activity for the day? Germany's longest alpine slide. It should be really, really cool. However, it's a bit difficult to get down there, so instead of meeting you at the Hauptbahnhof like usual, I'm going to go rent a car. A first for the channel. Alpine slides have been on my bucket list for ages now, and Germany's longest should make for an excellent introduction. But the problem with that is it doesn't exactly fill up a whole day now, does it? So in addition to the coaster, which will be today's tentpole, I've put together a smattering of smaller activities that should round out the day. First up, we've got a small castle ruin to see, and then we'll follow that up with a river gorge. If you're just here to see the coaster, and I can't blame you if you are, go ahead and skip to this time. But before any of that, I need to finish up this drive. Alright, so we just finished the drive and made it to our wonderful Alpine hotel. It's fantastic. It took about 1 hour and 50 minutes to get here, so pretty long drive for European standards. I mean, this is the longest I've driven in ages, but probably just a blink of an eye to any of you Americans out there. You guys drive for ages. Now that we're here though, I'm going to take a quick rest up because, man, I'm a little tired after that. And then we're going to be heading out into Sonthofen, where there's going to be a cool castle ruin to check out. And after that, we'll be going straight to the gorge, which should be a really fun activity. Let's go.
You just wanna hold it, don't wanna swim it over. It feels like you got it, you want your roller coaster. Don't ask me about my freedom, don't ask me about my wisdom. You want it, you need it, but why?
At a map's glance, it looks like this region is absolutely filled to the brim with castle ruins. And I'll admit, I started my trip preparations with high hopes. I mean, you know me and castles. But upon closer inspection, I noticed an unfortunate trend. Most, if not all, of the ruins in this region seem to be entirely condemned, overgrown, and dangerous. Now, the less castle enthused among you might find this as a bit of a sign and smartly move on. However, I just couldn't help myself, and so I went to check out the Fluenstein castle ruins with my own eyes. My report? Well, unfortunately, this ruin was utterly on trend and rotting. With the gate locked, I can't condone you enter the structure, but I can neither confirm nor deny that it isn't worth your time anyway. Unless you want to ride Germany's shittiest alpine coaster. You see, disappointments like these are an unavoidable challenge when exploring less touristy places. Sometimes you really will find a gem that makes it worth it, and then, well, others, they're just less touristy for a reason. No need to get bummed though, just make a quick pivot and move on. That's exactly what we did when we all decided to, much like the owner, abandon this site and head to the next activity far earlier than expected. Driving through the picturesque Bavarian countryside, it really wasn't that hard to shake off the disappointment, and we only had a 15-minute drive to our next stop, the Starzlachlam Gorge. It's a far more established site that's surely less likely to disappoint. At least, you know, I hope. But with plenty of hiking trails, swimming spots, and even a canyoning tour, no doubt giving this gorge more time in my day will be for the best. The small parking lot only costs about €3, but if you want to enter the gorge proper and not just the surrounding trails and riverbanks, you'll need to pay another $3.50 per adult. Definitely not the most expensive gorge, but not free like my favorite out in Mittenwald. All right, so now that we're done swimming, we're officially done with the gorge, or at least, you know, as much as we're gonna be doing today. We've got other activities to do, right? Don't wanna spend all my day here, even though it's really nice. Compared to all the other gorges we've been to, this one's actually pretty different. You know, we're not stuck on those railings like in Partnerclam or anything like that. We can actually go down to the water, and that's been really, really good because today is so hot, and that cold, refreshing Bavarian Alpine water was fantastic to go swimming in. It was really, really great. That all done though, it's time to move on. So let's go back to the car and do our next activity. All right, so here we are in the parking lot of the Alpsee Bergveld, and I'm honestly kind of nervous. Your long-time viewers might notice that I go up a lot of mountains, right? But heights kind of freak me out. I think you might have noticed that. So even the chairlift has me slightly freaked out. But I don't travel to do the same old shit. It's time to go and do something new, even though it might seem very silly to some. Hopefully it's good. Maybe I'll hate it. Let's go find out. So finally, after this mixed bag of a day, we have the Alpsee Alpine slide. As a tentpole activity in its own right, the coaster is somewhat surprisingly built into a complex called the Alpsee Bergveld, which features not only the slide itself, but also a huge children's play park, a petting zoo, a ropes course, and naturally, a beer garden. Myself, I'm just here for the coaster, and you know, maybe a sneaky beer, but I could easily see a big family with children spending all day here. But all of that is at the top of the hill. And the parking lot, well, that's at the bottom. So you're gonna have to ask yourself how you would wish to get to the top. And if you were a masochist, you could opt to hike all the way to the slide entrance and pay for the single ride down, which would cost you about €7. However, the walk to the top of the hill is pretty steep, paved, and honestly, really unpleasant compared to the amazing hikes that Bavaria has to offer. So my recommendation instead is to just pay the extra €5 and ride the chairlift to the top. It's pretty fun in its own right after all. Now though, as for the ride down, well, why don't you just see for yourselves? Okay, so now that I'm back on solid ground, the real question is, how was it? It was absolutely fantastic. I'm floored. This is not the kind of thing that I usually do on a video. If you've seen any of my others, this isn't the kind of attraction I go to, and I've been missing out. I need to be including a lot more of these when we go out traveling. I'm gonna be looking for them because it was that much fun. Controlling your own brakes, at first, I didn't really know if I cared or if it mattered, but it was actually tons and tons of fun, except for when there's a kid a few carts ahead of you and they're kind of holding on to them, they're really riding the brakes, but it's okay, you just kind of wait for them to go, and if you watch any of our POV footage of going down, you'll notice that there are some stops and starts. But other than that, that didn't detract at all. It was excellent. Now though, since we've done our big 2 activities for the day, it's time to actually head back into town, get a bit of food, get some sleep, because tomorrow we're hiking to Schrecksee. Like and subscribe to check it out. Hey everybody, and welcome back to our apartment in Munich after an awesome multi-day adventure down in Allgäu. Now, of course, we've only shown day 1, and so this conclusion is going to be just about that as itself. You know, we do a lot of day trips, so it sort of begs the question, is this a good day trip? If you only did this, would it be worth it all on its own? What do you think?
So I wouldn't really recommend this video that we did, the activities, as a single day trip, just because it's a lot of effort, especially if you're only a tourist in, you know, in Bavaria or Austria. It's a lot of effort to have to rent a car, drive to the region, and then drive around because, of course, there's not a lot of connection via public transportation. But if you are interested in the area, which I highly recommend because it's gorgeous, I would recommend spending about 2 or 3 days in the area, doing a smattering of activities like the ones we featured in the video, and then dedicating an entire day to a big tentpole activity. There are a lot of lakes in the area that you could spend a swimming day at, or there are a lot of hikes that you could do. So what did we do for our temple activity?
Right, of course, we did need one, as you said, and I agree with your assertion that day 1 is kind of on its own and you need to have a big day 2 to make it worth it, and that's completely right. So what we ended up choosing was a hike to a lake, very original. But it wasn't just to any old lake, it was to Bavaria's highest alpine lake, about 1,800 meters or so, something like that. And it was a proper brutal hike to one of the most beautiful sights I think I have ever seen. So I'll give you a sneak peek right now. It's gonna look like this. But anyway, after you see that, how can you not want to go? I mean, that's how I felt. I actually orchestrated this whole trip based off of that picture alone, and it completely satisfied. It was fantastic. So like and subscribe if you want to know how to hike there and see how it really holds up as a full day, and we'll see you in that video.